Welcome to JAR Region Session 5. For today's lesson, you're going to need your volunteer guidebook, the student table tents that you should have collected from earlier sessions, the computer assembly worksheet, the country stickers that are provided for the activity. These will need to be cut apart in between each country. You will need your certificate of achievement, and then you're going to need the on-screen presentation. For the on-screen presentation, you can work with your teacher to decide if they're going to pull it up ahead of time or if you should come a few minutes early to pull it up when you get to class. For this lesson, the first thing we're going to do is go over some vocab words. I would call students to the board and have them be vocab experts. So I would invite a student to the board, say, what do you think supplier means? What do you think it means to be a supplier? Have them give me their definition, then they can click on the board to reveal what it is. Same thing for supply chain and interdependence. Then we're going to go over what's on the back of your worksheet, which is how the supply chain works. What are all the steps? There's a few ways you can do this with the students. You can just go through it yourself. I like to invite students to the board to click on it, and I have them read collect raw materials, and then just the top part. So supplier uses human resources to collect natural resources necessary to make parts. Then I would call on a next person to say, okay, then we're going to make equipment. Supplier uses human resources to design and make capital resources such as tools needed to make the parts, and so on. Now, I know some students are not comfortable reading what they are not sure is coming, so you can always hand this out ahead of time. And if they want to come to the board, then they can read it a little bit ahead of time to know what all the words are that they're going to read. Really talk to students about how we started with 40 different suppliers provide more than 50 individual resources to make a computer all the way through the process, and buyer goes home with a new computer. So we start with so many different things, different parts, different people, etc. And we all end up with one product. And it takes all of these steps to make sure that we make a good product. Once we've covered that, we're going to get into the activity. When you're doing the activity, the first thing I would do is I would go over each country on the side here and click on the part that they use and have the students identify where that is on the screen. So again, if the United States does a keyboard, I would have them say, okay, which one's the keyboard? They would point to this pink arrow and note that that's the keyboard. That's going to help them when they fill out this worksheet for the activity. Just talking about that ahead of time is going to help them because some are pretty obvious. However, some are a little more ambiguous, like all other parts. Where does that go? It's not really clear, so we want to make sure that we have defined where everything is going. The hard drive can be in one spot versus others. So again, it's really up to you to decide, the blue arrow is the hard drive, the orange is the speaker, the light blue is the screen. But just make sure you really talk to students ahead of time about where each part is supposed to go. Then what we're going to do is we are going to do our 3 steps. We're going to talk to the students about the activity and what's expected. We're going to get them into groups, which in this scenario, you're going to have the students get them into 8 groups. Then you're going to pass out the materials if you haven't already. If you already passed it out so they could have the back for the previous slide, that's totally fine. But if not, that's when you're going to do it. Each group is going to designate one specific form for their group. So each kid can have one, but we're only going to need one form to fill out per group. How this activity works is you can do it a few different ways. You are going to cut apart each country, and you are going to have the students get into 8 groups and give each group a country. Have them move around the room. So we don't want any group too close to each other. And what they're going to do is they are going to trade with other countries so they can build their computer. So if I am representing the United States, my group has just the United States stickers, and my group is going to mainly stay in one area. The two ways you can play this game is we need someone to run and get other parts, and by run, I mean walk and get other parts from a different country, or we need part of our group to stay in our home country so we can hand out those stickers. So you can either have most of the group go or most of the group stay and make it a relay style. Totally up to you and how you think it would fit your class the best. If I'm representing the United States, I'm going to go out and I'm going to go to Ireland and China and Brazil and all those countries. And when I get a sticker, I'm going to put it right on my group's form. So if we're doing the relay style, we're going to have everyone stay in the home country. One person's going to walk and go get a sticker, then come back. Then the next person will walk and go get a different sticker and then come back. And then the next person will walk, go get a different sticker and come back. You can have one person stay the whole time and pass out stickers, or you can trade off again who's going to represent the home country. Basically, at the end, we want each group to have one sheet totally filled with stickers, and every country should be represented. Now, the one thing you will notice, and the students will notice as well, is there are 9 countries represented, but you only have 8 groups. You are going to keep, as the volunteer, 1 country yourself, but don't tell the students. Eventually, they're going to say, I normally keep China since it doesn't really have a definitive part on the worksheet. I usually keep China, and then you'll have students come to you and say, we don't have China. We don't have China. We talked to other groups. We can't find China. Basically, then you're going to stop and say, hey, there has been a disaster. We want it to be animated and fun. You can totally choose what the disaster is. Hurricane, tornado, earthquake. Something has happened and China is not able to get the parts to you that you need. What are they going to do? Have the students brainstorm a little bit and talk about what would the options be. They should hopefully be using the process we learned last lesson to decide, okay, are we going to change the parts? Are we going to find a new supplier? Or is it something we can go without, etc. Once they've talked for 2-3 minutes, you can have them start coming up to you to get the last country. And basically, once they are done and they have all of the stickers on their worksheet, they can be done, their group can sit, and then we'll wait till all groups are finished. And then you can have them get back into their spots and talk a little bit about how that activity went and what would happen if, we really didn't have someone supplying our parts. Is there anything within your company or in the world today where we have to really pivot if we can't get something we need? I like to use JA a lot. We source our materials. So if we were unable to get the materials that you guys are using, how would that affect how we do our job and how you do our job? Is that something that you think that we have to come up with a solution? Probably, right? So it's just fun to give examples of how this is kind of an extreme example, but every day in life, you might come up with problems where you have to find the solution if someone is not able to supply what they said they would. Once you're done with the activity, you can wrap up the session and really talk about what they learned overall in junior achievement, some of the main topics they took, because this is the last lesson. Once you're done, you're going to have your certificate of achievement. You should have filled it out ahead of time and worked with the teacher to get the students' names. Or what I like to do is I like to fill out the school, my name, the date, etc. And then I'll just give these to the teacher right when I walk into class and say, hey, can you just write the student's first name on them? And then you're going to leave 5 to 10 minutes for graduation. We really want to make this special because it's a big deal for students to go through the entire JAR region program. If you are going to bring treats or a trinket in for the students, please make sure that you have talked to your teacher ahead of time and got it approved. A lot of schools are no longer allowing candy, so we want to make sure that we're not overstepping any school policy. So make sure you talk to your teacher if you're going to bring something in. Make sure the students have their certificate, call them up, have them shake your hand. We can talk a little bit about what it's like to have a good handshake when you're accepting an award. Give them the certificate, and if they have a treat or a trinket, and then make sure every student gets to experience that graduation. If you have extra time before graduation, you can always do some extended learning opportunities as well. But with the lesson and graduation, normally it's a little harder to finish the whole lesson. So if you have, we hope you have so much fun doing this program. It's a really great program and allows students to really think outside the box. So please enjoy session 5 of JAR Region.